Welcome to my Fat Puppy channel. I'm driving while taping or recording. Shh, don't tell nobody, it's kind of dangerous. I have my iPhone as my camera and I have it resting on a steering wheel. So it may get a little quaky at times. Hopefully you won't get motion sickness. The video you're about to see, I recorded in Camden, South Carolina. Actually, I was going to record 2 other videos there and just kind of stumbled upon this. My intention was to do the one of Agnes of Glasgow, which I've already done and released, and the one about the gentleman that got killed in the duel in the 1820s, which I have done and released. And I found the American Revolution monuments there, and I really didn't know a whole lot about the battle that took place there. I know a little bit, but not any details. I have since then looked up the details. I'm going to give those to you now, but still go watch the video, or continue watching the video, I should say. Basically, those monuments are in honor of the people that died or fought, period, not just died, during the Battle of 1780 and 1781 to take Camden back. The British had set up an outpost there in the interior of South Carolina, and it was a strong outpost of about 2,000 British troops. The Continental Army thought they had 4,000 and thought they could easily win, but they were wrong. They only had about 3,200. Yeah, that's right, 3,200. And most of those guys had dysentery. Now, dysentery is a disease that gives you some serious diarrhea. Look here. Most of us don't go out in the battlefield fighting with diarrhea. We don't even like to go to work with diarrhea. So I'm not going to linger there too long, but it was just terrible conditions. It was August in the South. It was hot. And the men were sick. And they had their butts handed to them. They got whipped bad. Then they tried again in 1781. Now in that fight, they lost again, but it cost the British so heavily that they moved their post to Charleston, which they already had a post there. And that began the loss of the Revolutionary War for the British. Up till then, they'd actually been doing pretty good, and it was looking pretty bad for the colonies. But anyway, I'm on my way to work, and I want to hurry up and tape this portion so that hopefully at lunchtime I can put the video together and upload it. Y'all have a really good day. And thanks for watching my channel. If you haven't already done it, like, thumbs up, and subscribe, and let's build this channel. And again, you guys have a good day. Watch the video. Hello, this is Fat Puppy here, and I am in Camden, South Carolina. I'm going to be recording some videos at the old Quaker graveyard. Where I am now is the old Presbyterian burial grounds, which is within sight of the Quaker graveyard. The Quaker graveyard is like 100 yards that way. And but here I have 2 stories I was intending on working on. They're each going to be their own video. But I come across this and didn't realize this was here, or maybe knew about it but just didn't give it any thought. This is a Revolutionary War memorial. Some interesting things about this memorial is, number one, in the ground there are 15 stones, I guess you would call them, markers naming particular Revolutionary War soldiers. I'm not sure how they rank having their own stone, because not all of them died in battle here. Some of them, as it has the birth and death dates, died later on. And the reason why I question why they are here, is because over there and there are plaques of the people that did die in the Revolutionary War, particularly the ones that died in the Camden area fighting the British, because the British had made this their stronghold inside South Carolina. It was an important stronghold, and if I remember correctly, in 1780 the colonials tried to repel them and got their tail end handed to them. I mean, they got beat pretty bad. 1781, they tried again. They got beat that time also, but it cost the British so much that they decided they just needed to go ahead and move back to Charleston, which eventually led to the end of the Revolutionary War. So I'm gonna move the camera over here to where those plaques are and just make a few mention of a couple of things. So in the battle to reclaim, in both battles, to reclaim Camden, it wasn't just the militia or the colonials, the patriots in this area that fought, that tried to repel the British. For instance, this plaque right here is dedicated to the men of the Delaware Continental Army. So these are troops from Delaware that came down here, and I imagine they were fighting in South Carolina. South Carolina's seen a lot of fighting during the Revolutionary and of course the Civil Wars. There are 48 names listed of people who died from the Delaware Company. And this plaque here is dedicated to the men of the Maryland Continental Line, and 60, I counted 60 names that were lost. And so that's 60 on that. And that's just the ones that they know of, because on the bottom it says, "And to those unknown, to a grateful country, but to God only." This plaque here is real interesting in the fact it lists about 40 people from the Camden area and other areas, because it shows names and where they were from that engaged in battle here and they were killed again in 1780 or 1781. I'll tell you something that interests me, and I hope you can hear me because I'm going to end up moving further away from the mic. The top 5 are people who were executed. They didn't die in battle. For some reason they were picked out, stood up, and shot. It could be reasons from spying to maybe they're prisoners of war and they were very rebellious, got in trouble, but for some reason they were shot for doing something wrong other than being the enemy and being in battle. In the middle are people from all over the place, and then down here, Camden Patriots, South Carolina militia. This has been pretty interesting. By the way, well, let me move the camera. This one is pretty interesting. I hope the sunlight is not affecting your ability to see this. Sun is, it's funny, it's been raining all morning, and I was hoping it wouldn't be raining when I got here because I'm about an hour and a half away. And then when I got here, the sun come out shining bright, which is fine with me. Anyway, the name, Samuel Wiley. I happen to remember it was a Samuel Wiley that deeded the Quaker ground to Camden for a peppercorn a year for 999 years. Well, that make him a Quaker. Quakers are pacifists. They don't believe in fighting. Yet, here's the name. However, this says that he was born in 1756 and died in 1780. And if I remember correctly, the Quaker graveyard was deeded in the 1750s. So this would be the son of the guy that deeded the Quaker graveyard. And he was a fighter. Maybe that's why he is buried here instead of in a Quaker graveyard. Maybe he was not allowed to be buried there. I don't know. I'm not trying to dig up scandal. I just think about these things, and it leads to questions and then more questions. I can get in a downward spiral on these questions.